I'm Matt Turman with Susquehanna Insurance, and it's almost Christmas time, which means it's almost time for some snow. Today, we're going to give you some tips on how to drive in the snow. December is a great time of the year. You have all the Christmas lights out, and it's Christmas time, and it's fun to celebrate with friends and family. That also means that hopefully you just survived deer season. Deer are one of the most deadly animals in the country, believe it or not, for traffic accidents, and they are all over the place. So the rut happens early November, where they're out running all around, and that's the most active time for them and the most likely time that you are going to hit one of them. So hopefully you made it through without any deer claims and that you're good to go. The deer now are kind of settling back down and they're not as much of a threat. The new threat that we have here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania is snow coming down. The temperatures are getting colder outside, and snow will hopefully be here soon. It's beautiful. It's a lot of fun to have, but driving in it for many people is not the most fun. So we're going to give you some tips today on how to drive in the snow. The first thing is that you want to drive super smooth. Even your steering, your pedal inputs, you want to drive super smooth and no fast accelerations, no quick swerves, and no hard braking. Those are all things that are going to help you break traction and lose control of your vehicle. So the number one thing you want to make sure you do is drive super smooth. And that way your car tries to hold and can hold traction for as long as possible. The second thing is to look ahead. Make sure there's no snow plows coming. Make sure people aren't braking early or turning, or there's any steep hills or tight turns ahead. You want to make sure that you're looking far ahead so that you can prepare for such. So if there's a turn coming up, you don't want to drive up to it like you typically do, hit your brakes and turn into it. You want to let off the gas, maybe hit your brakes a little bit, pump them to slow down, and then ease your way into it. So the second thing is to look far ahead. The third is to deal with the skids. If you're driving in snow, your car most likely at some point is going to break traction and skid a little bit. And so how do you drive through that? If you've seen Cars and Lightning McQueen, what the old adage is that he got from Doc Hudson is you turn right to go left, and that's kind of the case. And so if your car starts sliding to the left, if you turn more left, you're going to spin out. If you turn to the right and kind of counter steer that skid, it's going to help you slide that way and straighten out a little bit. So if you want to go left and your car starts skidding, just turn the wheel slightly to the right and it will help even out your skid and will keep you back on the path that you want to go. Skids are probably going to happen, and so knowing how to deal with them is a good thing to know. Even a way to practice that my dad taught me is when we do have snow, take one of the vehicles and go to a wide open parking lot and kind of have some fun and learn how the car reacts to it, how it slides, spin out intentionally, hit your brakes hard, accelerate hard, all the things that you shouldn't do, just so you know how to react in the snow and get used to how your car performs. So that's a really helpful tool, people. Just go to a big parking lot and practice how to drive in the snow. This other way to do it, the fifth tip we have, is to use your analog brakes if you have them. And so when you slam on your brakes in snow, it's gonna feel weird because they won't just stop. You'll feel it kind of like jerking a little bit, and that's your analog brake system kicking in and making sure that your tires, each one, has the most stopping power that it could potentially have. Without ABS, you slam on your brakes go against the wheel and they lock up and you just go straight and there's nothing you can do. So what you could do with ABS is slam on your brakes, and that way, if you have to, mess of that, you have to, otherwise you want to brake into it. But if you have to slam on your brakes with ABS, slam on them, it'll jerk a little bit and your tires will spin, your car will control the tires spinning and not locking up so that you can stop as quick as possible. So number 5 is to use your analog brakes as much as you can if you have to. Also, if you have all-wheel drive, that's a great thing. 4-wheel drive is even better, but don't rely on that solely. You want to make sure that you don't overestimate your abilities or the abilities of your vehicle with all-wheel drive. It helps for sure in the snow, but it doesn't make you invincible like the snowplow trucks are. You still need to be careful and understand how your car reacts to it. 4-wheel drive is the best. all-wheel drive is second best. Third best is front-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive is probably the worst. If you see cars at the stoplight and the rear tires are going, or they're fishtailing like you used to see on the cop show, that's probably because they have rear-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive gets a little more traction. The engine's up front, so it holds it down, and you get a little more power coming through the wheels to get more traction. So those are the three best things. And last but not least is to plan ahead. If you live in a place that gets a ton of snow like northern Pennsylvania does, maybe you want to get snow tires. Maybe you want to get chains for your tires. Maybe you need to make sure that you have some emergency blankets or something in your car. Just plan ahead. If there is a lot of snow on the road, maybe you can work from home nowadays, or avoid going that day and you can go the next day. But just make sure you plan ahead for whatever the road conditions are, whatever your driving ability is, and whatever your car is capable of doing. If you're in a little Toyota Corolla, I wouldn't recommend going out in a foot of snow. If you're in a big Chevy Silverado with four-wheel drive, you can probably handle that. So know your abilities, know what your car's capable of, and just be safe. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and safe driving.